Back at TCO Performance Center, it's our training camp takeaways. Sam Ekstrom hosting today, Arif Hasan. In for Matthew Collar, I'm going to hold the phone like a Neanderthal. Arif, we learned a lot about the defensive line today. Sheldon Richardson was a big topic of conversation, as was Armon Watts, who's gotten a lot of first-team reps in Michael Pierce's absence. I don't think a lot of people thought much about Armon Watts going into camp, and now he's on the radar considerably more. What do you think about Armon in a starting role potentially right now, and maybe in a preseason game, with Sheldon Richardson being sort of that number 3 in the rotation?
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings are pretty excited about him. I asked, hey, you drafted a 3 technique out of college, you made him a nose tackle, and they said that they really liked his skill set to be able to do both, that he's got the strength to hold up against double teams up the center, as well as kind of the speed and the quickness to be able to get pass rush capability as a 3 technique. We're seeing some of that early in camp. Obviously, I think the Vikings would prefer to have Michael Pierce, but I think that they're really happy with the progress that Armon Watts has made. And then, of course, Andre Patterson this morning said that Armon Watts is in really remarkable shape. In fact, when I asked about Armon Watts, he just took a second and was like, whew. Like, he was really, really excited to talk about Watts. So, sounds like he's having a great offseason.
I think Mike Zimmer said today, too, that he had slither, I think was the word he used.
It's the word he used to describe Tom Johnson way back in the day, too.
Didn't use it to describe Shamar Stephen.
Right.
Additionally, on the offensive line, some developments on the injury front. Christian Darrisaw back in pads, not 100% yet, not full go, but making progress. Wyatt Davis also back in pads and cycled in with the 2s during team drills.
Yeah, did a little bit more, yeah.
Yeah, so what do you make of this competition now? Because Rashad Hill is also now in some injury hot water. He's missed 2 out of the last 3 practices. We're not sure what's going on with Rashad. Wyatt Davis, was out for a bit. Christian Darrisaw still getting back. So it's kind of a crapshoot right now.
Yeah, they got to the point where they ended up playing Blake Brandel, who they've had as like a 3rd-team left tackle to begin camp, assuming Christian Darrisaw would have come back. Now he's with the 1st-team left tackle unit when they want to play Oli Udoh at right guard. So sometimes it's Udoh at left tackle and Dozier at right guard, but they want to see what Udoh does, so they have to elevate a tackle all the way up the chart. That's a little bit concerning, but the fact that Darrisaw is back at all, I think, tells us that he's on a schedule to be able to practice. And, the prospect of having him play week 1 without having done anything in the preseason or the offseason is pretty scary. So the fact that they might be able to get him back while Rashad Hill is a little bit out, that's helpful, but obviously we haven't seen anything yet to see if he can hold up.
We've seen about 300 Jake Browning passes since Saturday.
Almost all of them on Saturday.
Plenty of sample size for you to come up with an opinion on is Jake Browning the real deal as a backup quarterback prospect?
As a back, I think that's the best way to put it, because as a backup, I think he is. I think that he's demonstrated that he's made significant strides over last year when we saw him at camp. Somebody said that one of the things that was big for him was to get into a rhythm. And I think we saw that because on Saturday he started off pretty shaky, just like he looked like in minicamp in OTAs. But here, after he got a couple of reps in, he was able to kind of consistently go to the right read, get the ball in the right spot. He throws well ahead of his receivers to be able to run and catch it. So he's throwing with a lot of anticipation. And it really looks like it's coming together for him. We're seeing a lot of his weaknesses, still not really great at the deep ball, but now that we have some backup quarterbacks to compare him against, he looks a lot better than them, so he's got that going for him. And it looks like he just has more command of the offense, something that a number of coaches and players have also talked about as a big benefit to having him on the roster.
Some other news and notes, D.D. Westbrook still a little ways away, Mike Zimmer said. Michael Pierce is still not back in team drills. Anthony Barr sat out practice today, so we'll see if that becomes a thing or not. Just one day, maybe a vet day, we're not sure about that. Arif, in closing, surprise performer of camp for you. I mean, I've been on the Osborne train, so I guess I don't know if that's a surprise to me. Irv Smith Jr. has been great. I don't know if that's a surprise either. I mean, anyone flying below the radar that you're impressed by?
Yeah, well, I want to say Oli Udoh, but that's not really a surprise either. They've been talking him up. They put him into the rotation as a first-team guard. He's looked really good in that respect. So to me, the surprise has to be Jake Browning, right? He's played a lot better than I expected. And his camp last year, his mini camp, his OTAs, they all he was struggling a lot more to get the ball to his receivers. And here he's playing with a lot more accuracy. So to me, he's the surprise at camp, but every other candidate for surprise has been elevated kind of in the same way that he has. So it's kind of difficult to talk about, this player or that player. I guess if I'm going to talk about, really deep into the roster, fifth-round pick Amir Smith-Marset has looked pretty good recently.
He's Arif Hasan of The Athletic, filling in for Matthew Collar today. I'm Sam Ekstrom, at Sam Ekstrom on Twitter. Check out purpleinsider.substack.com. Also check out theathletic.com for Arif Hasan's work. We'll talk to you tomorrow.